ago, I was different than today. I had a loud mouth, had so many things to say. My hair was shorter and I promised it would stay. I'll never touch it till the day you came. Years went by so fast, living life so fast. Finally we saw a light up ahead, but didn't last. It was in time, no.
Alrighty. I need headphones today. Hello. Let's put this thing over here. Alright. Music off. And welcome to another stream with me. This guy right here. Alright, so let me turn off the music because I can still hear it. Alrighty. Alrighty. Hey Bob, what's up? Rishtish. Hello Rishtish. Felipe, what's up, man? How are you guys? How's everyone? Today we're gonna have a really nice topic, actually, because today we're gonna talk about things that a lot of people ask, and I'll try to cover as much as I can. But if you guys know, once we get into this, if you guys know something that you hey Riz, what's up? How did it go with your project, Riz? Are you doing okay? Hey Byron, what's up, Byron? Did you did okay with your project, Riz? Hope I helped you there with the stuff we talk about. All right, so I don't have much news today, but just before we start, I just want to mention a few things. I think maybe later today or tomorrow, there will be a new version of Tab 2. I've done actually a lot of backend work, and it should be ready for launch. There you go. It should be ready for the next version, which has a bunch of new things. Yeah, there's a bunch of new things there. It's gonna be faster. It's gonna be really cool. There were some issues with the Windows version, and those are fixed now. That was a mistake on my part because I didn't test the tool on Windows that much because I don't use it that much. But this time I make sure to test those issues, and they're solved. I appreciate everyone that keeps reporting issues, which it's great. This week actually we solved a large amount of really serious stuff. The tool was creating previous versions of tools sometimes, and now that's gone. It's never gonna happen again. I totally solved the issue. That's great. And now we have history, we have other things. I can show you a preview actually. Let me show you. So actually today we're gonna learn Maya. Look at that. We're gonna learn how to make a sphere in Maya. Before we get into serious stuff. Guess we can learn some Maya. And oh god, I don't know why Maya is so slow to resize that stuff. Okay, still resizing. Hold on. My camera froze. So my camera was frozen when I did that. Okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. So yeah, so to create a sphere in Maya, you go to polygons, click on this guy, and then you create a sphere. I'm just kidding. I was just trying to do some crazy things in Maya, but it's one of the things we're gonna talk about today. It's gonna involve a little bit of Maya, so I have it here. But I was gonna show you. Let me see this window. It's a little bit big. Let's just put it in the right dimensions. I'm gonna have to scale this window. Let's see. Oh no, that doesn't make my camera break. Just when I resize something inside Maya. Okay, that's there. Have a bunch of stuff open. Bunch of stuff open. Hello? What the hell? Go away. Code errors and stuff. I was doing some issues, solving some issues. Alrighty, that seems like it's correct, is it? There. Alright. Alright, so let me know if you guys have issues with audio or whatever. Seems like everything is working okay. So yeah, the new panel in Houdini, this thing here, you can see it's history for tab 2, and we have this new little icon there on this side, which is actually, if you click it, brings the standard tab menu, which now I actually now have tab as my main shortcut for tab 2, because there's no reason why not. So if I need to open tab, I can have it, I can open it from here if I ever need it. So this is actually history. You can see these are just objects. So the history, of course, is based on context. So you can see here you have redshift there. If we go to materials, you should have materials here, only material stuff. If we go to shops, we should have shop stuff. If we go to, what else have I done lately? Just that. I don't think I've used any other context lately. But yeah, you can see now if I create a geometry node, now it just goes to the top. If I want to create a grid, I could just click it from there, creates the grid really quickly. Inside here, you can see you have different things. I want to create a, let's go inside the grid. If I want to put a mountain top, I have it there, puts the mountain top there. If I put something else like a poly bevel, it's just gonna be there for me. Next time if I want an output, I just put an output there. Whatever. It's really simple stuff. It's cool. I like it. It's someone required this, like, and it's optional. If you turn it off here, it just goes away. It doesn't show, and it doesn't record the history either. So yeah, it's cool. That's cool, and that's coming. Today or tomorrow will be live. So now let's start doing some stuff here. So that's about tab 2, and that's all the code of tab 2. It's a lot of freaking code. Look at that. I have this open all the freaking time because I'm working and I'm adding stuff. I'm working and I'm adding stuff all the time. Alright, so let's talk about some stuff that it's always comes up, right? So there's little things in Houdini that are maybe not really that simple to understand, but they are basic things in Houdini that you should know. Let me just change the scale of Houdini so everyone can see it. Let's see, I should have here. Should have a variable there. So yeah, we're gonna talk about small things that I always medieval, yeah, kind of like a Hello World stuff. So Houdini, this is Houdini. Of course, you know that I have a different desktop, and if you don't know, I have a video about why I use this desktop and why you should use it, and you really should use this layout or something really similar, because the default layout for Houdini, I think it's not good. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's the best layout out there. And well, there is other layouts that included in Houdini, so you can try all of these, see which one works better for you. But yeah, the layout that Houdini comes with, it's just not. See, here's the video I'm talking about. This is the one I made about my desktop and why I use this desktop. So if you don't know, if you haven't changed your desktop, go see that video and you can have this kind of a layout there. So let's start with basic stuff like creating nodes in Houdini. It's really simple. I have this other tool, but when you press tab, you're gonna have this menu here, and this is how you create everything in Houdini. Everything that it's context or content, sorry, you create it by this menu. You can also go here and add node, which is basically the same thing. Brings the node tab. There is no list anywhere where you can click stuff and add it. I guess except from the toolbar, which is accessible by pressing W. Was it? There is a tool palette. Yeah, you can see the tool palette. It's something that you can use, but I don't recommend this. So I think just ignore this. Basically, you can create stuff. Hey guys, sorry. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Look at this. Just DHL just got here. Sorry. I was waiting for that. New speakers that I ordered because my speakers just stopped working. But now I have new ones. Cool. Alright, so yeah, this tool palette, just ignore it. Think that there's no other way. The tab menu is the best way to add tools in Houdini. That's why I created this new one, which is called tab 2, and you can do basically the same thing. But this menu, this is the menu. If you go to other applications, basically you can create tools from menus. Houdini has this shelf where you can create stuff as well, but not everything is here. It's just like it's like favorites and presets basically. So, but you can also create geometry from here. So I'd rather just tab menu or here to create stuff. So if you want to create a box, you can do it like that. You can just drag it or click it and it will ask you where you want to place that geometry. You can place it, and so that's how you create stuff. And then the other thing that confuses people is, all right, I want to get this. Now let's create a sphere. So let's create a sphere and just press enter. We'll create it in the center of the world. That's pretty basic. And now you can just click anywhere here and rename it, right? And then you see the parameters of it here. But something I see people doing a lot is and that you shouldn't do much in Houdini is actually scale this stuff at this level. So this is the object level, and you can see this says scene here, that corner. This is the object level, or you can see it here in this what is it, this navigation bar. This is called object. So this is object level, and people do this. They scale it here, they scale stuff here, and this is not recommended. Oh, we have a cat watching. Awesome. Okay, so the people scale stuff here, and it's not recommended because now if we go inside here and let's say we want to scale again here with a transform. So just so you know, if you don't know, anytime you see this menu and me typing stuff here, it's basically the same as using the tab menu and and doing transform or whatever, searching a tool. So if you want this tool, you can buy it from us, of course, mixtrn.com. Now if we do that, look at the transform gadget widget thingy. What the hell? And I see these a lot. It's like it's so weird, but it happens a lot. And why is that? Is because you scaled the object in world space here. So here it's alright because it's nothing happens, but if you go inside, then you're gonna try to do stuff here like I don't know, let's say let me extrude some faces here. Let's get the polygon modeling, poly extrude, and now look at the look at that. That's not the right direction. It should be pointing right, and then it goes up. Like I wanted to go the direction of the normal, right? It's not right. And people get frustrated and they say like, oh no, Houdini's weird, it's horrible, why is this happening? Well, this happened because you scale the object at this level. Sometimes I think this even shouldn't exist and just have the uniform scale, but well, it's there. So this thing is solved just by don't scale the damn thing here, and you can see now it's pointing in the right direction. The transform widget is correct, so nothing is happening weird. So whenever you're modeling something in Houdini, don't go creating a box like I'm gonna create let's say something basic like I'm gonna create a wall. So I create a box. Also, this is very common that you want to create a cube, but in Houdini there's no cube, so you need to create a box, not a cube. That actually confuses me still to this day. It's a box, not a cube, and any other applications just call it cube, but Houdini is called box. So you want to create a wall. Of course, you create a box and then you start scaling this thing like that, and then you say, oh, of course I want to get another wall from this one, right? I want to make a division there, or an edge loop here, and then create another wall in this direction. So you go inside and say, all right, so I want divide this, or you just go here and say edge loop, and the edge loop, it's asking you stuff, and you say that doesn't work. Let's say polygon modeling edge loop. Okay, no, it doesn't. Select the object for the edge loop, this one, and then you create the edge loop. And of course the edge loop is here, but you don't see it here. That's because it's inside here. I have this freaking thing locked. So now you have this edge split there, and then you select the face, and you want to extrude this. That's the wrong one. Extrude it, and everything seems like it's fine, right? It seems like everything's fine. So let's do another extrusion here, and now let's do one in this direction. Q to repeat, and look at the handle. All right, so what happened there? Why is the handle so big? Look at that handle. It's like, what the hell? It's horrible. And you say, all right, that might be a glitch. I just gonna have to just do this. And you continue doing this, and you basically your stuff is broken here. It's not right to do this. And let's say, all right, so I did this, so I'm gonna select everything like you do in other applications and scale it. And what the hell? Look at that. That's like, what is this? Looks like a muscle or something. Like, what the hell is that? Houdini's wrong. Houdini's horrible. It's not. You shouldn't be doing this. Shouldn't be scaling stuff at this level. And there's a way to solve it, and there's a freeze node to the function. Actually, it's like a command. So if you go to here to the form, is it model modify here, modify, there's a freeze icon here, or tool. If you select your option there, I mean your node, and click freeze, basically the scale comes back to once, and seems like everything is alright. And what happens is just that Houdini brought the transformations here. And now look at that. If you want to scale this later, let's select everything and press E to edit. Now it's fixed. So that's one thing. And you can scale the hell out of this thing here. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna act strange. So don't scale stuff at object level, please, people. Don't scale stuff at object level, please. Even more, don't scale it non-uniformly. If you want to do something like the box thing, like the wall, the correct way to do it is go create your box, go inside your object, select your tool, and press enter, or click the handle widget here, the handle tool. You can see the object itself has handles to modify it. So these red handles are to modify the cube here. So if you press shift while moving, you will uniformly or kind of mirror the scale there. So if you want to create a wall, you should do it like this, and the wall is gonna be like that, and maybe taller, and like that. That's how you start modeling a wall or something like that. Then if you, after this, you want to modify by pressing selecting everything and press E to scale, you see this, the transformation widget, it's right. It's not happening weird. It doesn't have any weird thingies. And if we go to let's scale this further and go up here, and the transformation here are left alone. Please leave them alone, please. All right, so that's about that, and that's something that I see a lot, especially when teaching people Houdini, they are just used to use in other applications and never used Houdini before. They just make this mistake a lot. Okay. Now let's move on to another thing, and this is gonna be just like different tips. Let's say let's create a torus, and let's just make this let's just make this guy rotate with a transform. I'm gonna rotate it in the Y direction by frame. So that means it's just rotating, every frame is just rotating 1 degree. Let's multiply that by 3. So this is something that people get scared by, expressions in Houdini. You don't have to use them. I just use it because it's simple, whatever. It's fast to just do something animated. But the thing is, I'm just multiplying this number here by 5. So if you click here, you can see I'm just getting 5 because I'm getting frame 1 times 5. Next frame will gonna be 10 because frame 2 times 5. That's what's happening. It's really simple. It's nothing to be scared about. So that's what I'm doing there. Just multiplying the current frame value and rotating by that amount. So now we have this animation thingy, and of course, let's create a camera, and cameras are created in a few ways. You can create it here. You can create it from here by control clicking here. Once you put your viewport, whatever you want, just control click here, or just do it here, or you can just do it. I mean, here, new camera, or you can just create the camera by searching in the tab menu and have your camera there. Whatever option you want, it's all right. The other thing is, people get confused by this camera. Like, I have that camera there. You can see I'm looking at the camera. Now I want to move the camera, and like, oh, did I move the camera? Because I see the camera, and this is something specific to Houdini. When you go and select the camera here to view it again, you need to lock it if you want to move it. That means it's locked. The camera is locked to the viewport, or the viewport is locked to the camera, whatever you want to think about. And then you can move it. And then once you want to get out of this, just unlock the camera and move it, and you are not looking at the camera anymore. So that's another thing. So now let's look at the camera, and this is something that people don't know. And if you're coming from other applications like mine, this is called a plate blast. Here is called a flip book. So you can click this little flip book there, click it, and it will bring these options, and it's telling you what the range of the flip book is going to be. By default has these expressions that just are pointing to these values here. If you don't wanna move that and say I just want the 40 frames, you can just put the range there, and this is gonna just work. And you can leave everything by default and just click start, and now it's gonna start doing a flip book. And see it pops in play, which is the player here, the movie player, you can call it movie player, in play. Might be the right name actually. And then you can just play this, or this will be useful, or this is just when you have to want to see something in real time, or it's too slow, maybe you are simulation or an animation or something. And that's how you make a flip book. And if you want to save this, because that's something that a lot of people ask as well, you can go here, save as. So you can save as a frame sequence. You want JPEGs, PNGs, whatever from this sequence, you can save it here. If you want to export to a movie, here in Linux you use FFmpeg. But if you want something else, if you are in Windows, you should have QuickTime here or whatever. Then here it's just telling you the resolution you're gonna save and where you're gonna save it. So let's say I'm gonna save it here in my home directory. I should have a temp directory here, whatever. I'm just gonna save it there. Taurus MP4, and then this is this is, I'm so glad that this happened, because you can see FFmpeg, especially in Linux. I think in Windows is the same thing. If you have known pair values, or how do you call these values when they are even? And what's the other one? Well, the thing is that this has to be divisible by 2. So like this 1331 is not divisible by 2, and it will fail. And I'm gonna try to do it like this, and it will fail. So you can still change the range you wanna render from here, and then click save. You can see it's gonna do the thing, and it's gonna fail. You can see that that's a really common mistake that you see a lot. Odd. Thank you, Excel. That's the term I was looking for. You can see it's saying that FFmpeg did something weird. No, it's not prime number, but it's an odd number, not a pair number. It's odd or even, right? So the number has to be even, not odd, because FFmpeg doesn't know how to deal with that. It just, and I've done this before. Now I was like, this is crap. FFmpeg, it's just doing something weird. Until I found it's just the size of the thing. FFmpeg just doesn't want to do that. So just remove that pixel. Nobody's gonna notice. It's just one pixel. And now render the damn thing again, and it renders. You can see it says override. Yeah, so override it, and it exports, and it's gonna work. That's simple. Simple stuff. It catches you sometimes, etc. But so that's how you can make a play blast and export it to a movie. You can see the movie. Let's see, I launched. Let me open this thing on the side. So so there it is. See, there's my movie, my tourist movie. Open it, and there you go. Damn it, the movie was at the bottom. Let me open it with something else, with VLC. So there you go, you can see it. There's my movie. Now it's a movie. I can send it for review. I can upload it to Shotgun, do whatever I need with that movie, send it to my supervisor or whatever, and that's how you do it. All right. Now the other thing is, people don't know how to render stuff, and to render stuff you need to go here to render. Of course you need lights, but by default Houdini is gonna create a default light. So if you guys know other things, let me know, because I'm just going by what I remember and what people have asked me. But if you have any other things like this that you want to share, please do. So there's a render menu, and here you can create. In other applications you just hit render and then it renders, right? You can do that in Houdini as well if you use this button right there. So it's this little button in the lower left of the viewport. If you click it, it's gonna render. It takes a little bit. Hold on. So there you go. Pops in play again, or movie player, and then renders. So what happened here, it should have created something, right? Isn't it something created? No, it didn't. That's weird. I thought it created something with this, but seems like it didn't. Maybe it creates a temporary render and that gets rid of it. So that's how you render one thing, but you don't have much options here. You can actually click on this thing, leave your mouse pressed, and then you have different things here. And you might get excited and say, oh, I want to render with RenderMan. Great. But that is not gonna work, because you need to have RenderMan installed. It just, Houdini has everything it needs to plug to RenderMan, but you need to have RenderMan installed for it to render. But you can render with Mantra, which is basically similar to RenderMan, sorry. But again, doesn't have any options to render more than one frame here. So you need to create a node. And if you go to here to render, create render node and IO, please always use the Mantra PBR. PBR is it's better. Mantra would just create default node, and Mantra PBR would create the node with the PBR option selected. So there you go. You have your Mantra node in the outputs, or if you go here to outputs, you're gonna have your node there, and the option that is changes this physical rendering option. By default, it will be ray tracing, which is not what you want most of the time. So yeah, now you can select this node and render multiple frames. Let's say we want to render from 1 to 20. Oh, great. So here you have the option to change the frame range here. By default, it's going to render the current frame. So if we just go to this frame and press render to endplay, it's going to complain about something. It's just a warning telling us that they created a default light. And there we go, we have that frame there rendered. So we want to render 1 to 20, have to change this to render frame range. And then you're like, oh, why can I change these freaking values? Yeah, I don't know why these values have defaults like that. I don't know why these values are like that, but by default these values, which is the start and end frame, you're gonna render, and this is the step. Basically this is every frame, or every 2 frames, every 3 frames, every 5 frames, which is very, very useful to use that when you're doing test renders, render every 5 frames or something. By default, these guys have expressions. So by default, they're pointing to this range, the full range of your file. So that's the f star and f end variables. If you want to change this, you need to delete that value, and you delete it by right-clicking here, or right-clicking on the value and say delete channels. Yeah, I know, one more thing, but that's how Houdini is. And then you can just type 20 there, and then it leaves you. And I know for us that know Houdini is stupid, like what I'm saying, but there's people they don't know these things, and it's different from other applications. So it gets you. It's like what the hell? Even if you're experienced in other applications, like you have a cool job and a studio, whatever, and you open Houdini for the first time, all those things are weird. It's like, why is this change here? Why can't I change this value? You're gonna need to ask somebody. It's not logical that you need to right click and delete channels, and what does channels even mean, you know? So now you have this, and you can render from 1 to 20, and then you press render to disk, or render to endplay, or render to background, render in background, or controls. So yeah, it's like controls. Okay, I don't know what that is. So there's 3 things here in the render node. So render to disk is just gonna render directly to disk by using this path that you declare here. All right. Render to endplay is gonna render to the window we saw before, and render to disk in the background is really cool. Actually, I use it a lot. But that one thing means it launches a second instance of Houdini, saves your file. Basically, this is what happens. Saves your file, And if your file is not saved, like let's say, let me change this is 21. This is not gonna work. It's gonna say, oh, you have unsaved changes. Save your file before proceeding. And why is that? Well, because this thing saves your file, creates, I don't know, it doesn't create a copy of it, but you save your scene, and then launches an instance of Houdini, a second instance that opens that file or your current file and starts rendering in the background. So it's exactly like that. Like let's say you send, let's think about it like you send that file to the render farm, but it's on your same machine. So it's not consuming anything. It's not gonna block this Houdini thing while it renders because it's running on a second instance of it. So that's why it says in the background. Yes, it's in the background, it's in your machine, but that's what happens, all right? And it doesn't launch a version of Houdini. It launches an H-batch process, which is the batch processing that Houdini has for rendering and stuff. All right, so you don't have to have more licenses of Houdini. That you can just launch it with the same license. It's not gonna take an extra license. All right, so now let's render to mplay. I'm gonna just press render to mplay, and then two things happen. Brings up this dialog that it's so weirdly named interrupt, which is like, why is it called interrupt? I have no idea. I just take it for granted and I'm happy. And then it starts rendering every frame here, right? This is showing me the progress. If I want to stop it, I can stop it here with this interrupt button, or I can pause it with this pause button. If for some reason I need to do something else in my computer and it's taking cycles from my computer and I want to do that, I can pause it and then just continue. And I have never used that pause button before. I think it's the first time I ever clicked that stuff. But it's there for if you need it. If you need to interrupt this, let's say I'm gonna interrupt this by I don't know, frame right now, whatever. Interrupt. There you go. It kills that frame, and then you just have your the animated frame you render here. Again, this is the same nameplate we use for the flipbook, so we can actually save this to files, to sequence, or to what is that, a movie file if you need that stuff, right? So we can quit that, and that's how you render some stuff. Julio, what's up? No problem, Julio. All right, so that's some of the things. Let me think what else. Somebody, let me just think. Are there any questions at this moment? Kevin had a question. Sorry, Kevin, I was in the zone with this. Any advice for using multiple booleans in a row? Well, you gotta think that when you boolean something with geometry, that it's just any geometry, you arbitrary geometry. That's what I wanted to say. You're gonna get polygons that are not right, and you're gonna get n-gons and a lot of things, maybe small parts and a lot of little small things or small pieces of geometry that might be already kind of wrong. And if you try to do it again with a boolean after that, that might be doing some stuff. What I do, not sure what you want to do, but what I do is I Voronoi first, and then I use boolean for each piece after that, so So I'm kind of dividing the geometry twice, but the Voronoi gives you clean geometry, clean, and then you kind of the Boolean's kind of always kind of gonna give you going to give you kind of dirty geometry, because you can just put whatever you want there and your geometry might not be cut perfectly, etc. So it's pretty unpredictable, and then doing that on top of the first one, so well, the unpredictability comes by a power of 2 then. So Karen from Armenia. Hello, Karen from Armenia. Can you please quickly show how to put texture to geometry in Redshift? Yeah, sure. That's something really basic as well. So let's say that I want to put a let's do it with a box actually. Let's put a box, and let's make this closer to the box, and let's unlock the camera. So we have this guy. Let's see, we want to put a texture to this in Redshift. There's a few ways to add textures. You can a material, sorry, there's a few ways to add a material. Let me save this because I want to have RS textures. I want to have somewhere to get the textures. So you need to go to the material context to create a material first, and you should use the RS material. And then to add a texture, you can see there's no way to add a texture here anywhere. And in other applications like Houdini, I mean like Maya, you have like an entry here, but you have this little icon there, but it doesn't work that well for Redshift. Let's see, yeah, there's nothing here. Patterns, because this thing is designed for Mantra. This little thingy gear is designed for Mantra stuff, so Redshift can't use that stuff. So what you need to do, you can see if we expand the properties. Hold on, it didn't crash. I just went to the background there. Oh, don't do that. Ah, come on. Why are you doing that? All right, there we go. So all these properties here, you can see they are here in the shader, and they are inputs here. You can see this little thingy here are inputs. So you can plug something to the diffuse color, which is this one. You can, if you put your mouse there, you can see it's called diffuse color. So this is the color of the thing, and you can plug the texture here. So let's create an RS texture. We need a texture node from Redshift, which is the RS texture now, and you can just drag this and plug it there. But now we need a file. Let's see if I have something in this project. Episode images maybe. You know what, let's go to sources. Sources should have a bunch of images, and let's use this cactus. Yeah, that one. So I have the image there, and now let's go to object mode, and then we can assign in the render tab, we can assign that shader there, just like any other shader in Houdini. Assign it. You can't see the texture, the textures from Redshift in the viewport. You have to render it, so there's no way to see them here at all. So what we need to do is, let me kill this Mantra node and create a Redshift node. And where are you? Here. I'm just gonna use this Redshift node with the right camera, and I'm gonna open the render view, and I think there's gonna be an issue, hopefully. So there we go. So there it is, and there's an issue. the issue is that it's just white. And why? Well, this thing doesn't have UVs. By default in Houdini, objects don't have UVs when you create them, so you need to add UVs to them. So let's put a UV texture, and let's change it to 5 face maybe. Now you can see there is a texture in the cube there. So let's move it like that. I changed the thingy camera. You can see it's there. Also, it looks kind of weird shaded here because of the normals. So this is kind of smoothed out. So let's create a normal node just to get, so we can flatten the normals, and just go back here and create a dome light, redshift dome light, just so we can see every side. So there we go. That's the texture is there now. Of course the UVs are horrible, but they are there. We can maybe say polar. Nah, polar's not great. By face, scale it up. Well, anyway, you should have good UVs on your object. If I have UVs, I have UV tutorials. So you can see I'm projecting the texture from the top there, and the texture is there. So there you go. That's how you assign a texture in Redshift. But you need to have the texture. You need to have UVs, and you have to sometimes put in a normal node to have your normals correctly here. By default, Houdini is gonna soften everything most of the time. We really appreciate some videos on Houdini Maya pipeline in the future. Yeah, I can do some Houdini Maya stuff. Alright, so let's kill Redshift, and this brings me to another thing. Like, let's say we have this box and we have normals here, and in Houdini you assign normals to vertices, and I think I think either in object or FBX, the normals, the vertices come differently to Maya. So let's test this, because right now I'm adding normals. You can see, if we see the normals are in the to the vertices here, and vertices are different things in Houdini than in Maya. You can see if we go to Maya, I have Maya here. Cancel that. Let me create a box here. We create a cube. It's called a cube here. If we right click here, there is vertex option, and some people are used to in Maya to know that a vertex is those guys in the corners of geometry. But in Houdini, let's go back to Houdini. If you want to select, let's go to select, and let's am I in the select thingy? I need to be inside here. You can see we have different options here: points, edges, primitives, which is different than faces in other applications. Most applications call them faces, we call them primitives. I know it's weird, but that's how it is. And then it's vertices here, and it's the last one. Why is it the last one? Vertices might be important, right? Should be the first one. So if we select that, and now you can see there are different vertices in each. I can make this larger, actually. Larger point markers. There we go. So now you can see these little circles in the corners, and they are not exactly in the corner. So let's select them and let's try to move them, and it didn't move that, what happened? Well, the thing is that in Houdini, vertices, what Maya calls vertices or vertex, are actually a point in Houdini. So you actually need to select points in Houdini to move them. Vertex or vertices in Houdini are used for texturing, and you can move those. Actually, they are gonna be inside every face. It's gonna be one, and that's a way how Houdini solves having stretched geometry. I mean stretched textures along a surface. So it's kind of weird, but that's how it is. So one thing that happens with when you have normals on the vertices in Houdini, let's try exporting this. And this is something else that people get confused in Houdini. Is like you want to import something and you go to file import and you're like, this is weird. Geometry image export. I want to export OBX. OBJ actually. So why is only Alembic and film box? Does Houdini suck? Why doesn't it have OBJ? Is there a way to activate a plugin? No. So, well, the thing is that Houdini actually, if you can actually not have these menus here, and Houdini will be fine. Houdini does everything from nodes, are basically the thing that Houdini does. So importing here, it's basically a shortcut to creating a file node, which is basically how you import geometry. And actually the file node is basically also a way to save geometry. You can see if I plug this thing, the mode now is reading files, but you can set it to write files. And if I put a path here, it will save out a file from here. Cowardly refused to write, yeah. That's a great warning. Cowardly refused to write a default VGO. Yeah, because it's trying to write the default geometry, but so it cowardly refused to write it. That's great. So if you want to export an OBJ from here, you can actually go to export and do that. You can't. It's not possible. So you can actually just right click on this, but there's a save thing, but there's not what you want. What you want is go here inside and right click on the last node or whatever node you want to export the result of and save. Now it says save geometry, and like, whoa, okay, save geometry. And Houdini supports a lot of formats, so it doesn't show you all the nodes for that, all the formats. So you can just say, all right, I'm gonna save it to, let's see, I'm gonna create a geo folder here. And here in this window you can see all the formats that Houdini supports: AVJ, OBJ, I mean AVC, AI for Illustrator, and OBJ should be around here somewhere. EPS, FBX, JSON, OBJ, Lightwave, PLI, VDB, STL, etc., etc. So you can just say this is my box OBJ, and Houdini will know what to do with this. So just export that and save accept, and it's gonna export that. Sorry. Save geometry. Yeah, there's a list of formats here as well if you want to use that. You can just change it's basically just changing the extension. You can do it by hand as well. It's the same thing. Houdini will know what to do with that. It's not a problem. So now if we go to Maya, let's go to Maya and import, which in Maya you can do just delete this guy. you can do by going to file import, right? Or at least that's what I'm told. Mixed training. Here's my OBJ file. I can import that, and look at that. Woo! Imported a box. Woo woo. All right, so let's see if the issues happen that I was expecting. So let's grab a face and move it, and it's not there. So all right, so the problem is not with OBJs. I think the problem is with FBX. So, and the problem is that these guys with FBX, they sometimes export as a separated objects, but it seems like OBJ it's good. We can show the normals here in some way. I don't remember how. No, in display show. Display show. La 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 la. Where is it, guys? Show display polygons. Here it is. Normals, vertex normals. Doesn't have any. Should I need to select the vertices? Display polygons, vertex normals. There's no normals, so seems like it's not importing the normals. Maybe they're super small, but normal size. No, there's no normals here. All right, so now let's try with the FBX. See what happens here. And FBX again, there is an entry here to export FBX. If you want to use that, you can use that. You bring this dialog here, which is basically the same thing as creating an export here. In this section, you can create an FBX node here, which is gonna be, you can see this dialog, it's basically the same dialog here. It's does exactly the same thing. So you can use this or use this dialog. Again, it's the same thing. So now it asks us to save where it's gonna save the file. So let's put it there, box FBX, and just telling us what you want to export here. Source object. Let's just select that box. I don't want to export everything, just the box there. And let's leave everything else as default. Just export, and it's done. It doesn't say anything, but it's done. Maybe it should pop up or say something here. I didn't see a message there. Object mode, delete that guy. Let's import that FBX guy, and there it is. Let's see if the issue is here, and it's not, huh? So that might be something weird for that person, because that was totally fine, huh? I don't know. All right, so that wasn't an issue then. I don't know, sometimes the Linux and Windows version have different results, but if you get that issue in Maya, that the faces are separate, put your faces to points instead of in vertices. So let's see how it happens when we do this. Save to OBJ again. Save that. Yeah, overwrite it, and go to object mode, file, import, OBJ. Yeah, the normals seem to be taken there. So let's see. Yeah, it's working. All right, great. So there's no issue then. I don't know. Let's see. Juan Lu, great advices. Thank you, Juan Lu. What is the best way to UV multiple primitives and get them ready to export? When I do it with the UVs, will just stack on top of each other, even though I use UV layout. Okay. I can take a look at that. Karen now. Okay, Karen knows how to export geometry. Great. I was following what are VDBs and why use them. Okay, so VDBs are this controversial name kind of thing. Alright, so I'm gonna kill Maya now. I'm gonna leave it there. So, alright, so texturing different things, and I'm gonna do it by using something that already has UVs, which is the rubber toy. And let's say I have another object, and somebody asked me this recently. Let's say I have Tommy. Now Tommy, I need to create it inside. Let's do, what should we do? Test object something. Okay, let's create a geometry and create Tommy here. Tommy. So these two objects have UVs. If I press space 5, you can see there's the UVs for Tommy, and even Tommy has overlapping UVs. You can see UVs have, it's overlapped there. It doesn't really matter that much in Tommy if we go inside Tommy, because shaders are applied by groups here in Tommy. But let's use another example, because Tommy has specific UVs. Let's say the test object. Let's try the squab. I never used the squab. Okay, the squab has UVs, alright, and they're not overlapping. So the squab has these UVs, and Roberto, that's the squab. Let's call this squab, and this is Roberto. So Roberto has these UVs, and they're not overlapping, alright? So this is two different objects. So if I select both, of course they are in the same UV space, right? They are in the same UV space. If you apply a shader to this and apply a shader to this, they are basically different objects. They won't matter. They will render fine, right? But what if we inside Roberto here, let's change this to here. What if we have both objects here? Let's create another squab here. Squab. And by some reason you have these two objects here in the same place, and let's merge them, and we merge them. So now there's a conflict here, and let's just not add shaders here and don't add shader there. Okay, so now there's a conflict, because now if we go now to the UV view, both objects are on top of each other, right? So, but let's say let's extract the texture for Roberto. This is not gonna totally work, because the textures are made for the UVs how they are, but we're just gonna try to illustrate the why is happening. Okay, so let's cancel that, let's open the squab to extract the texture as well. It should be, what the hell, type properties, extra files, squab diffuse, there it is, save as, there. I'm just extracting the file, the texture from the included file here. So right now they don't have any textures. I'm gonna assign a material to this. So let's go to the material context and create a material. Let's turn off that squab. Let's go to material context and let's delete that one. We're gonna use a principal shader, let's make this Roberto, and let's make a copy, and this is gonna be the squab. So to Roberto, this guy does have a texture entry. We can use this to assign the texture to it. And let's go to job texture, and there's the texture for Roberto. And now if we go here and assign this texture here, something weird is gonna happen, and I can't see it. For some reason I can see it. I should be able to see it. Not sure why not. But let's just render this. Render view. Render. We don't want to render with Redshift because render mantra with that camera. And Roberto should render fine, but the squab would have issues, and there we go, we have issues there. The normals are an issue here. Let's create a normal, and we don't have it. Do we have a light there? We have a redshift light. Alright, so you can see now Roberto is cool because its UVs are fine, but the squab is weird. What if these guys have UVs and everything, but their UVs are weird because it's occupying the same space as Roberto. So this is not gonna work for this because I don't have the textures like that, but you can do things to organize this and don't overlap the objects, which I think is what you're trying to do. I'm gonna create a group for this. So this is the squab group, so I can quickly select this, and I'm gonna create another group for this, and it's gonna be Roberto group. So I have just two groups, so I can select them after I merge them here. So now here I can UV layout the UVs. Let's go to UV view. UV layout, it's just gonna do everything. And you're saying you were doing UV layout? Yeah. So UV layout just has all this stuff. It just went from stuff that was all in one thing, all overlapping, to not overlapping. So just lay out everything here. So this thing is just doing it for the two objects. It's basically thinking that this is one object, right? So UV layout, if we select the group here, let's go for Roberto group. Now you can see it seems like it didn't do anything, but Roberto's just occupying the whole thing. We can actually scale this. Let's say we want Roberto in this corner over here. Let's say top part like that. And we can even type the exact numbers here. 0.5, 0.5, no, this is 0.75. The center is actually what's ones there, 0.5. So we have Roberto in this top area, and then we can put another UV layout after this and do the other thing, which is the squab group, selecting the squab group there. And now we can scale this down to occupy the bottom part of this, and just put 0.5 here, and 0.25 and 0.5. So now you have the UVs for Roberto on the top and the UVs for the squab at the bottom. At this stage, the textures that Roberto had are not gonna work because they were done with the other layout that it come with the asset. But when you have this, you should just create your texture for the top part and the bottom part, and whatever application you're gonna create your textures, and these should work when you add your texture from here. All right, so that's one way. But if you still want to have this and you don't want to mess with the UVs, you can actually just texture both here. So let's say we have the UVs here are all overlapping, one object on top of the other, but you already made a texture with these UVs and you made a texture with these UVs. So instead of doing this stuff here, you can even actually just assign textures here, materials actually. So let's remove this Roberto material from there. So nobody has material. So that's a global material, but we can add materials to different objects. So in this branch we have Roberto with those UVs there. We can actually let's just split this there. You can see we have Roberto here. Let's put this as the perspective view. We have Roberto with these UVs, and we can create a material node here. So we can actually, before we even merge two objects, we can add a material. So we can say this area, let's add that Roberto material that we created, and you can see now he is looking at as good as he's ever been. Let's go to the squab and assign the squab texture, squab texture, and go back here, and we can create another material. Just I'll drag that to copy it. You can see right now it has the material for Roberto, but we're gonna change that to the squab, and now he has its correct material. Now we can go here, down here, and I can see both have the right material, even when they are overlapping at this stage. But since Houdini knows how to do stuff over here before we merge them, you can just texture, do whatever things you want here, and then mix those two things. This is one object still at the end of the day, and it works. And if we render this, each one is gonna have its own texture, because Houdini knows how to extract the texture for each one of those objects. So there you go. Actually, Bob, I'm happy that you asked about VDBs, because comes to kind of solve a little bit the question somebody had before about multiple booleans. So alright, so that's that. And this file, it's totally wrong. I saved it as RS textures, and now it's just something else. So VDBs are actually volumes. Okay. Let's see. Juan Lu says, no, not stupid, Juan Lu. Nobody, somebody that asks something is not stupid. How to change the color of the interface and tabs? Yeah, these tabs are from the past. This is how Houdini used to be way before, and I like that. I like the colors on the tabs, and I have, if you go to edit, there's color settings here, and there is this color scheme here. I have a bunch of color schemes, but you should only have like light, dark, and pro, and I think this is the default in Houdini, and that's just pretty light for me. There's a pro one and there's a light one, which was the default a while ago. I'm really glad they at least have that as the default now. And you can mess with stuff here like the gamma of the interface, which be careful. You can mess with the brightness. Also, yeah, be careful. The contrast. You can mess with the saturation stuff. Saturation is cool. But if you wanna have the colors that I make this color, and there's another one that I made. That's a really old one that I made. You can get this from my website, actually, this color scheme at if you go to my website, mixtrn.com, and go to the community here, click on it. There should be a section. You need to you need to register, I think. Then go to scripts and tools here, and there's the Houdini color scheme, and there's how to install it here. There's how to install it, you can get it, and all that stuff. So that's how you can get the same color scheme that I use. So VDBs, let's go to this quab actually. So VDBs are you know, or you might not know, but there is a way to convert stuff to volumes in Houdini. You can use an ISO offset, and you can see I just converted that object into a volume. Right now it just looks like a wisp thing or whatever, but if you give it more divisions, you can start to see there is this quab there, but now it's not made out of polygons, now it's made out of a volume. Let's say like a cloud thing. And VDBs are something similar, but a little bit more advanced from polygons. So I can use VDB from polygons and convert that to VDB. You can see that looks pretty weird. Converts by default to a surface. You can convert that to a volume as well if you want. You can see it kind of there. So the resolution here is basically like the voxels of the VDB. So it's basically a volume, but since you can also use this as a surface, you can see that's the VDB representation of the surface. This is not polygons, so you can do stuff to this. It's volumetric thing. So let's say let's make a box, and let's make this into let me make something more complex actually. Let's make like a torus, and again do it to a VDB. So this is the VDB representation of this. So basically we're dealing here with volumes. You can see when I click that, you can see kind of the grade of volume there for the squab. And then you can do stuff with these things, and I always forget how that thing is called. VDB combine, I think. And what is this thing? So you can subtract, and now I'm basically doing a Boolean operation here with the torus and the squab. I can say subtract. There's some really funky things you can do with this VDB stuff. That's why it's pretty cool. You can multiply them. You can maximum. You can see now I have only the parts that were inside the torus here of the squab. You can see that's pretty cool. And now after I've done this, I can actually convert this, back to polygons. So now you can see, now if I show the wireframe, now this is polygons, and it creates this representation of the volume back to polygons. No, you wouldn't have any problems with that, because you're dealing with volumes, not with polygons here. So if you do this, like let's say you want to subtract, let's do something else here. Let's subtract that. I subtracted that area, and then I want to do something else to this, like let's say, yeah, let's do it with a box, and do something here with this box. Again, this has to be a volume. You can do operations with a non-volume. So this is a volume, and this is a volume, and we add this. Maybe why is it failing? The volume has been negative. I'm not sure what this is failing. Let's say we have a surface here, we have a surface here. I think no, this is right. Why are you not why are you not wanting to add? Weird. I think it's working. There's different things you can do with VDBs, but let's say we can clip this as well. We can clip it. You can see now I clip that thing with this, which is for some reason it's just not wanted to work with this stuff. I don't know. So now you can see where I'm clipping it by that square there. We had this result, and then I'm clipping with this cube now that area, and of course I can move this. There is no polygons here because we are dealing with volumes. Then you convert that to polygons, and then it gives you the result of that thing. And that's why some people is using VDBs to do this kind of thing. So yeah, this is not a Boolean operation of polygons. You are dealing with volumes basically, and it's not gonna have the issues that but the issue that you have with this kind of thing is that the polygons are really, the meshes are really dense. You can see now this mesh doesn't have the properties that it had before. Like you can see, this is really different now. You can poly reduce this, or you can use the adaptability here, which is really cool. Just reduces the detail where it's not needed and leaves the detail where it is needed. That's a pretty cool thing. So if you don't really care about the topology of the object, you can do this. And most of the time, if you're using booleans, you might not care about the topology. So yeah, that's how you do that stuff. Juli say would like to know a little about making light maps for exporting to Unreal Engine. Light maps are made in Unreal Engine. Actually, you don't need to make them here. You just prepare the UVs for that, and for that you just need a second UV, a set that's just called UV2, and you can do light maps with that in Unreal Engine. So yeah, that's how you do stuff. You can even, like, let's say, you can see here's a little bit jagged stuff. You can even do VDB reshape, is it called? Reshape. No. VDB reshape SDF. And why is it not working? Weird. Says that this with the hatchless voxel skins are game. It's odd. 3 box, less than 3 voxels units. Let's see, let's change this value to 3. And now are you happy? Nope. Exterior box, so let's put it to 10. Let's see if this guy now wants to play. It doesn't. Weird. Doesn't want to play. Well, the thing is that you can actually smooth these guys. That's what or dilate. You can see now here I'm dilating that object. If I dilate it inwards, or no, you can't actually. Oh, you need to erode it. You can erode this thing. You can see I'm eating into the volume. You can even smooth this. Let's go with the VDB smooth. That's what I was looking for, not this reshape. See, these things are a little bit jagged, so you can actually smooth the surface. And see, that's the original. You can smooth this surface as well. So you can do a lot of stuff with VDBs. They're pretty cool. See, I'm smoothing the surface there a little bit so it's not as jagged as before. You can use Gaussian. So yeah, VDBs are cool, and people are using it for modeling a lot. Alright guys, so that is a while, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Cool. Alright, I think we are good. We asked a bunch of beginner questions, and I hope you get something useful from this. And we should make another one of these, because there's a bunch of stuff still that it's using Houdini there other applications just don't use. Like, for example, we use normals for everything. And other applications just like they don't even touch normals ever. We use normals for everything. We use point numbers for a bunch of stuff, normals for a lot of stuff. So yeah, we should talk again about things like this in Houdini. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. And that's it. No more to say. I said a bunch of things. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. If there's no questions, I'll give you a few minutes for if you have any questions, guys. 1 or 2 minutes for questions. No questions? I guess I'm that amazing. I don't leave anything unanswered. Exit. Don't save. But yeah, basically the workflow between Maya and Houdini is just, the answer is alembic. Woo! Alright, so that's it. No questions. I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much. And I want to open that box. Because I don't have speakers. My freaking speakers died. So I'm gonna end this and open that. Alright guys, I'll see you next week. Have a nice week. Have a nice weekend. And happy Houdini. Let's keep learning together, guys. Alright? See you next week. And I have the button right here right now. I don't have to find it. Stop streaming. Bye.